I want to introduce our next speaker, Michael Budkie. Michael Budkie is the co-founder and the executive director of Stop Animal Exploitation Now. Stop Animal Exploitation Now works exclusively on animal experimentation issues. They've successfully terminated research projects. They have forced the USDA to take legal action against laboratories, and they've also coordinated the release of animals into sanctuaries. And Michael got involved in this issue and became dedicated to this issue after witnessing atrocities of animal experimentation during his education at the University of Cincinnati, where he successfully ended head injury experiments on cats, and that led him to where he is today, the co-founder of Stop Animal Exploitation Now. And one thing you might not know about Michael is that in high school, Michael was the captain of his chess team. He is an avid chess player. He's also taught students to play chess. And when he was teaching students to play chess, one of his students became a state-level champion for her age group. So if you are an avid chess player, watch out. I think Michael's going to beat you, but we'll give it a shot. Please give it up for Michael Budkie.
Good morning. Since the last Animal Rights National Conference in Washington, D.C., we have seen tremendous progress in the area of animal research. In fact, in my opinion, we have seen some of the most historic developments in the history of working on this issue. And one of those historic developments took place just a few weeks, a couple of months after that last Animal Rights Conference ended. After a multi-year campaign by SAEN exposing literally a multitude of violations of the Animal Welfare Act at the University of Oklahoma, an announcement was made. After significant pressure, dozens of news stories, the University of Oklahoma administration announced that they will be permanently closing down their baboon breeding and research program. Save some of that applause, it gets better. One of the other improvements and historic events that we've seen was achieved by People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. PETA was successful in forcing the closure of a federally funded research project involving maternal deprivation studies. This had gone on for more than 30 years within the National Institutes of Health. And not only is the study stopped, the laboratory has been closed, and the lead experimenter is no longer allowed to work with him. PETA was also successful in forcing Health Canada to end pesticide testing on dogs. One of their other many accomplishments during the year was forcing the Kikkoman Corporation, which had a long-standing policy requiring animal testing, to terminate that policy. So Kikkoman will no longer be funding animal testing. We've seen progress in many other areas. One of the other organizations that has been extremely successful in working on the animal research or the use of animals in education is the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. During the last year, PCRM was successful in ending the use of pigs in a surgery clerkship at Johns Hopkins University. This now leaves it so that there is only one medical school in the entire country that uses animals in the medical school training of doctors. They have also been successful, PCRM has also been successful in ending the use of pigs in emergency medicine residencies at the Medical College of Georgia, Ohio State University, and SUNY Upstate New York University. They have also ended the use of animals in pediatric residency programs at the University of Utah. They have halted the use of animals in anesthesiology programs at the University of Florida and the University of Utah. One of the things that is very often a source of the best information we receive in working on the animal research issue is when we are contacted by insiders. Whistleblowers give us an invaluable source of information and data as far as what's actually happening literally as we speak inside laboratories. And just a few weeks after the conference ended last year, SAEN, Stop Animal Exploitation Now, was contacted by one of these whistleblowers. And the information which they gave us was among the most disturbing data we have ever obtained. This information came out of a laboratory that is connected to the University of Texas, Galveston. UT Galveston has a facility there called the Galveston National Laboratory. This is one of only 5 biosafety level 4 facilities in the US, and what that means, this lab uses things like Ebola, Marburg virus, all of those things that have the potential to literally wipe out the human race as well as many other species. One of the projects that was going on there involved the use of Marburg virus. This is something that is typically fatal not only in non-human primates but also in human beings. This is a hemorrhagic fever disease, and the result of this disease in primates is truly horrific. Well, all of the projects that involve this study are supposed to result in the euthanasia of the animals as they develop the disease. They are not supposed to be allowed to die of the just horrific complications that come of this. Well, the National Institute on Allergy and Infectious Diseases, which funds much of the research at this facility, did an audit and found out that due to negligence on the part of the laboratory, the monkeys were just literally being allowed to die. They were not even receiving that minimal mercy of euthanasia. And what's worse, the administration of this laboratory took the report that came out of the NIAID audit and was hiding it. They were literally withholding it from their own employees, which is actually illegal. When we were informed of this, we filed the necessary document request. We obtained a copy of this report. And just to be a little bit testy, one of the first things we did was we emailed the report to all of their employees. After that, we filed complaints with the USDA and several other federal agencies, and this laboratory is now the target of the largest investigation in the history of the animal research issue. The USDA's Animal Care Division is targeting this laboratory. Their Investigation and Enforcement Services Division is targeting this laboratory. NIAID is targeting this facility, and the NIH's Office of Laboratory Animal Welfare is also targeting this facility. The investigators have been spending so much time down there at this lab, we've been suggesting they should rent a condo in the area. Because when we last contacted OLAW, and remember, this investigation started in September of last year, they're still not done. The director of OLAW told me that they have months worth of work left to do at this facility. And when all of these documents come out and are made public, UT has their worst nightmare then. Because once these investigators are done with them, we're going after them more. In addition to UT, we have also been successful at spawning dozens of other investigations. In fact, as we speak, the USDA has open cases against the Texas Biomedical Research Institute, the Alpha Genesis Primate Dealer and Laboratory in South Carolina, the University of California, Davis, the Shin Nippon Biomedical Laboratory in the Seattle area, and the Lovelace Respiratory Research Institute in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We don't care where they are in the United States, we go after all of them. One of the other milestones in the animal research issue which occurred in the last year is the elimination of the transportation of non-human primates into the U.S. by the ABX Air Company. This was a result of a multi-year campaign by SAEN, PETA, the Gateway to Hell organization, and the Bunny Alliance. However, in my opinion, the most historic development that has happened in the last year, or for that matter, in the entire history of this issue, is the impending closure, and I want to say that again, closure of the Santa Cruz Biotech Laboratory. It took 8 years. And I remember when we started working on Santa Cruz Biotech, we were concerned that no one would care. We were concerned that the general public, quite frankly, wouldn't give a damn because this facility doesn't use primates. They don't use dogs, they don't use cats, they use goats and they use rabbits. Or should I say, they used to. As a result of 8 years of public pressure, dozens of news stories, and I would say hundreds of thousands of people contacting the USDA, the pressure worked. They levied the largest federal fine in history against an animal laboratory. Not $20,000, not $50,000, $3.5 million. They also terminated their license as an animal dealer, and they forced them to surrender their registration as a research facility. It is going to be illegal for Santa Cruz Biotech even to have a regulated animal in their possession. We've now reached a point where in the last 7 years, SAEN has closed down 7 research facilities or research projects. And as a result of this success, we are seeing more opposition and more blowback from the industry than ever before. In fact, last year, we were the target of our first lawsuit. One of the administrative officials connected to ABX Air filed litigation against us to literally try to take away our constitutional rights. They were trying to remove our right to protest. They were trying to remove our right to freedom of assembly. We successfully defended that lawsuit, but that wasn't the last time we've been threatened. Since then, actually very recently, we are now being threatened with another lawsuit, more litigation, this time from the SNBL company, and believe it or not, this threat of a lawsuit is actually over some Facebook posts. These labs are that scared. They want to make it illegal for us to even talk about them. Well, I have a message for all of these labs that are threatening or even considering filing lawsuits. We're not going to give up. We're going to defend the lawsuits. We have obtained the best First Amendment attorneys in the United States. Come on. We will not give up, and we refuse to be silenced. One of the reasons we are so successful is that we, SAEN, investigates every single laboratory in the United States. We don't care where they are, we don't care what state they're in, We don't care how unknown they are. We find new laboratories on a regular basis, and we don't let them hide. Personally, I've been an animal rights activist now for 30 years, and I remember the very first day that I became an activist, and this is something I don't talk about very often. When I was a student at the University of Cincinnati, I saw many dogs come into the facility. I saw many animals, but especially a large number of dogs. And I distinctly remember a day when the dog that I've referred to as Jack Frost ever since came in. Jack was pure white. I think he was probably a Samoyed, and he had those seal eyes that literally pierced her soul. And when I connected with him, something kind of snapped inside me. Something said, they're not going to get you. And I waited until Friday, and I walked into the room where Jack was being held, and I clipped a leash on his collar, and I walked him out the front door. And that's what we've been doing ever since, is literally taking animals away from the laboratories, and we're not going to stop. At every one of the National Animal Rights Conferences, we know that there are people here from the biomedical industry, and so I'd like to conclude with a short message for all of the laboratory staff that are here. I want you to go to the USDA website and pull up the paperwork for the Santa Cruz Biotech Lab and print it out. And every place you see the phrase Santa Cruz Biotech printed, cross that out. And fill in the name of the lab you work for. This is your future. You can't run and you can't hide. We're coming for you.
Wow, so much accomplished in 1 year. And it's because people are raising their voices, they're speaking out, they're acting on behalf of animals.